Alright, today I'm going to show you how to build your own light bar for your microcrawler, or trail trekker, or any sort of micro car you have. I'm just going to use stuff that I've had on my workbench for a while, and it's pretty cheap to buy yourself. So before I get started, I'm going to go through some of the parts that you'll need for this build. So first off, you're going to need a Traxxas male connector, a couple LEDs. I'm using bright white ones. A few 3mm LED holders, a few resistors, and I'll talk about those in a minute, some shrink wrap, and some sort of connector. I'm going to use a male JST connector. And as far as tools, you'll need some solder, wire clippers, wire strippers, a Dremel, soldering gun, some wire, and of course your microcrawler. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do is modify the Traxxas connector. So I'll move all these parts out of the way for a minute. I'm using a cutoff wheel on my Dremel. Next thing you're going to want to do is drill out the holes where the wires normally go. And I'm going to be using a 11/64 drill bit to do this. So there you go. Okay, so now we can get started building our LEDs. On these particular ones, the longest lead is positive and the shortest is negative. So first, I'm going to tin the leads on these. Be careful not to use too much heat though, because you can blow them out. Oops. The solder gun works better when it's plugged in. Okay, now you want to add your resistors. A lot of this depends on what voltage your LEDs are designed to run at. These are designed to run from about 3.1 to 4 volts. I'm going to be running them at 3.3 just to make sure they last a long time and I don't have any issues. The resistors I'm using are 100 ohm, and I'll show you how you can calculate the resistance you need. Okay, so in order to calculate your resistor value, you're going to have to do a little bit of physics. So it's a pretty simple formula. This is what I use to calculate how much resistance I need for my LEDs. Too much voltage will burn them out easily, so that's why you need resistors. So the formula for the resistor is the supply voltage, Vs, minus the LED voltage, VL, divided by the LED current, which is I. In my particular case, my source voltage is going to be 7.4. I'm running a 2-cell LiPo on my microcrawler, and I'm just going to power it off the battery. Subtract that from the LED voltage, which I'm going to run mine at 3.3 volts just to ensure that they'll have a long life, and divide that by the current of the LED, which in this case is 0.02 amps. I end up with 205 ohms of resistance. That's how much each LED needs from the source. So I'm going to be using 100 ohm resistors and just put 2 wired in series. Okay, now that you know a little bit about how to calculate resistance for your LEDs, it's time to add the resistors. So I'm going to trim these off, tin them, and then I'll be back. Okay, so now that the resistors and the LED is tinned, it's time to solder them together. I'm just going to do 2 in a row, wired in series. Alright, now I'll do the other one. Alright, now that you have your resistors installed, it's time to add some wire. I've already pre-measured and I'm going to need 5 centimeters of wire. So, I've already cut the negative wire, so I'm going to show you how to do the positive. Alright, I'm going to strip both ends. Do the negative first. Alright, now that that's done, you'll want to add some shrink wrap. Slide that on. And give it a little heat. Alright, then you'll just have to repeat that same process for the other LED.